when they form. It's the last one of a series of storms that move through Indianapolis, and this is the only one left. And it's about to move through Madison and Jefferson County fairly quick as we head through the next 15 to 20 minutes, especially across wave country here. But if you're in Madison, I'm sure the air raid sirens are going off. Worth repeating again. If you live in Madison, really anywhere in this area, even northern Kentucky, northern side here at Trimble County, sometimes these can take a little bit of a right turn, so you got to be accounting for that. Remember to get into the lowest level of your home, basement. Make sure to get away from windows. Hallway, bathroom is always good if you are able to do so. And but lowest level is key. That's step one. Second is get away from the exterior side of the entire building altogether. Ryan Hoke is scanning. Now we can actually see the storm in a three-dimensional sense, especially in the wind field, Ryan. And we're waiting to see how the winds, they do tend to rotate in a strong storm anyway, but when they start to rotate in a very close proximity, that's where problems happen.
And that's why we got on the air here, is this rotation was tightening up on the radar. And in fact, the previous radar scan had 85 miles per hour worth of speed on that rotation. That's very fast. That gives us a very big concern that a tornado may be trying to touch down. Something else that we can track here is to see if any debris is being generated by a possible tornado. We're not seeing that just yet. That's some good news. So right now, it at least appears from the current radar scan, Brian, that this rotation is aloft. But how close it is to the ground, it may be very close at this point, because those cloud bases, as you were just talking about, are very close down to the ground today. So that gives us that major concern for the possible for a tornado to be generated at any second here.
Yeah, this is not a typical long-lived supercell type scenario. This is one that's getting disrupted by different showers that are kind of interacting with this. As I stop the radar, you can see some of these showers are moving through around the actual cell itself. And when that happens, it can tend to do two things. It can disrupt the circulation happening on the southwest corner, but it can also help enhance a new one to develop. So you end up in a cycle that ends up happening in this kind of a scenario. So it's not clear cut of one drop of a tornado and it's on the ground, but it's one of those things where the storm is just circulating just a little too close for comfort. We need to make sure that everyone's just safe. Nothing wrong with that, right? Getting your safe spots. Again, I can't stress enough for the rest of Jefferson County, Midway, you're in the hail zone. So when it's safe to do so, let us know what kind of hail you're getting. Same story in Wakefield. Madison, downtown Madison, if the circulation can hold, and it looks like it's going to, it is likely going to take a track right into the downtown Madison area. And it's been cycling back and forth, but I will say the overall rotation is held now for a good 30 to 35 minutes. I don't see a lot downstream here that's going to take that away in a huge factor. In fact, it's a little more prime as far as warmth goes in advance of this. But northern Trimble County, 421, we'll watch it there along the Ohio River and see if anything can drift over it. No doubt if you're in Trimble County, you may be seeing it in the distance there, Ryan.
Yeah, and Brian, we just looked at the newest warning from the National Weather Service out on this. They still say radar indicated rotation. So they are not yet saying this is a confirmed tornado with that 155 update that hit just less than a minute ago here. So looking for reports. Of course, we will be checking with our spotters and emergency personnel in Indiana there near Madison to see if anything does indeed touch down.
All right, good point. Thanks, Ryan. And, you know, the other thing to watch, too, is going to be the hail side of this, because that we do have a fairly more confident setup on the hail potential with this as it moves in, because we've been seeing those pinks show up every once in a while move into the area. Let me show you the scope there for some of the hail that we have passing through. And again, that's going to be the northern side of where the circulation is. So right around Wakefield to about the Midway area is where we should see it. Right there is where the hail core, sorry, it's kind of lit up on the screen there. Sorry about that. But we do have that area that we're watching right there between Wakefield and Midway. I would say quarter size up to ping pong is plausible. The warning's out for golf ball, which gets that elevated tag of considerable on the damage potential. But I need to repeat, I haven't seen anything yet to indicate that that is indeed happening. It is a fairly warm day, so some of that does indeed melt, but that's kind of a multi-thread issue there. Hail on the northern side, and then that rotation that's still showing up as we move across central portions here of Jefferson County, Indiana. And again, the sirens, I know, have been going off now for a while. That circulation's still holding. There's not much of a change here. I wouldn't say it's overly tight as it was, but it's not exactly a broad rotation either. It's still just maintaining its own as it moves into northern areas of Trimble County. I don't know what the wind flow is into northern Trimble County. Ryan, I know the airport is coming in southwest. We need to watch and make sure we don't have any type of southeast wind component here. Sometimes it's hard to pick out the winds at a more specific scale like that into northern areas of Trimble County, that focus. But any kind of southeast wind would likely aggravate activate this cell a bit more as it moves over Madison. But I'm sure everyone's pretty scared right now hearing those sirens. So I want to calm you guys down the best that we can anyway, and just making sure it's just relax, have a plan in place, know where everyone is, the family pets, get everyone a safe spot, anchor down. This is not going to last very long. This was moving, I think, at 50 miles per hour or something
45
like that.
miles per hour.
45. Okay, it's moving at a good clip. So it's not going to stick around for very long, no more than about, I would say, a 10-minute window, and then it's over with, and then you'll be fine for a while, all right? So this is a short duration event, but it's, well, that latest scan doesn't look too great. But again, it's moving right there just west of downtown Madison itself on 421.
I can.
By the way, Scott County, you're out of the zone there for this one. And the far western side now in the clear out of this into Jefferson County, Indiana. So our main focal point is really right there over Madison and Trimble County. There's been a slight, ever so slight jog of this to the right that it's trying to make. So it's going to be very close to the Ohio
We're
River.
getting 107 mile per hour rotation on this as it moves into Madison.
Okay.
You really need to take this one seriously. Jefferson County, Indiana, the very northern tip of Trimble County near Milton, Kentucky. Please get in your tornado safe place right now. This is a very serious situation, Brian.
Okay, and that's the most recent scan, too, that you had on that.
Yes.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate it. Ryan's keeping an eye on the wind fields carefully. Let me move on to the actual storm itself that is moving in. And let me put some bearings on this so you have an idea of where you're at across the region. We put on the radar so you can see that everyone else is quiet. It's right there, moving into Madison and the Ohio River, northern areas of Trimble, Carroll County, northern Carroll County. You're next in line to get clipped by some type of a warning, more than likely as this moves on by. So again, the rest of you in areas quiet. We're mainly just focused on Jefferson County and northern Trimble County in our viewing area, just to the north and east here of Louisville. I'm going to kind of pan down a little closer to this. Have we had any reports at all of hail?
No, I've been looking at MPing. I've been looking at the National Weather Service. Neither of those sources have any hail reports from this particular cell here. So we'll keep an eye out for that. Madison, by the way, has a south-southwesterly wind at this time. So that may be the one thing that's saving us from having a tornado on the ground right this very second. We'll see if that changes.
And I see Carroll County now has been added on the severe thunderstorm warning side. So severe thunderstorm warning now out for Carroll County. Heading into portions of EV, Indiana. So this could be upgraded to a tornado warning.
I'm in Path
Can't
5.
roll that out.
So
they're just kind of doing some precautions here and extending
when I'm in
all
here,
the
I
way
use
to Warsaw,
this.
Kentucky to make
It's
sure
rather
everyone
the
up and down that path there,
Path 5.
along the Ohio River, is fully aware of this its potential. But again, the main focal point is that tornado warning and that storm signature there.
Yeah,
Ryan?
Scott County, Indiana dispatch has no reports of
You
anything
mean,
yet. Of course,
okay,
this
I'm
storm
not
is now
sure what
well
they're-
east of Scott County, but it traversed the
I mean, like,
northern
I can
half
do
of
this,
that county
but-
just a bit ago. So this doesn't have a history of putting down damage yet. So far, I think everything is just aloft. But boy, we have to treat it like it's happening right now because the signs are all there that this could happen at any moment with a tornado, Brian.
Yeah, let's hope it stays aloft. We don't obviously want anything bad to happen here. So we'll monitor the trends. Ryan's going to keep an eye on those wind fields as it evolves there into southern areas of Jefferson County, Indiana, into northern side there, Trimble County, into Kentucky. Let me zoom in a little closer to this. I'm going to get real close to the circulation here, at least as much as I possibly can. Here's Ringwald on 421. You see it looks a little bit of a gap. That's actually where you got most of your rotation taking place, actually, on 62. Let me turn on the velocity so you can see this a little better.
113 mile per hour velocity on this now.
113. All right, here's North Madison. Here's downtown Madison. Again, the circulation's crossing right there on 56 on the northern side, western side of downtown Madison area. So if you have friends or family there, again, give them a call. Make sure they're in that safe spot. That's the number one goal here, guys. Get ahead of the storm, get in your safe spot, seek shelter, and wait it out. That's the best thing you can do. Don't be looking out the window trying to see this thing, all right? We're already getting several reports that these clouds are hanging so low, the moisture content is high enough that it's wrapping around it at times, the circulation, and it's going to be very difficult to see anything. So we have to rely on the best tool we've got in this scenario, and that is going to be the radar as this moves on by. Let me see if I can get in some lightning strikes in here and see the concentration of lightning. All right, we got a confirmed tornado from, can you confirm that?
Looking at it right now. Let's see
I had
here.
a pop-up screen come in.
Right. Radar indicated rotation.
It was from the EM?
Looking at that right now.
Okay.
Here. Give me just a second here. We'll see if we can confirm this up. There we go. Okay. Confirmed tornado on the ground, Madison, Indiana, from the emergency management at Jefferson County, Indiana.
So this is a confirmed tornado.
This is the real deal, it seems. Yes.
All right. If we can get hold of the newsroom, make sure that we get a crew up there as soon as they can.
We might have debris on radar. We got a little green blotch just west of Madison here.
Okay. All right, Ryan, I'll let you work on that. Get back to me when you have something that is showing up. But that's news crews, newsroom, if you guys can hear me. And there, we need to definitely be on our way up there to Madison right now and seeing what's happening. Let me kind of zoom a little more to the east. Thank you. Appreciate it, newsroom. You guys are awesome. All right, so Madison, you're right now on the path of this. So according to emergency managers, they are letting us know that this is a confirmed tornado based on their reports from the emergency management into Jefferson County, Indiana for Madison. They're saying this is on the ground. Again, we cannot see it based on the location where it's at. You guys know the topography is really rough through here with all the drop-offs you happen near the Ohio River, so it's hard to see at that vantage point. No travel. I would not recommend anyone in Milton, Kentucky trying to take the path over the bridge. Don't worry about it. Stay on the Kentucky side. Everyone just stay put, period, right now. If you're watching, do not travel. Even if you're in Madison, if you're in a good spot right now at a friend's house, school, or at your home, you do not want to be on the roads in this kind of scenario. Let this thing try to pass on by the area as it quickly moves off to the east at a very good clip. Let me get back to the home view, and we'll kind of watch and see how this is quickly moving right along. It looks like the Ohio River is the spot that's moving by. And what Ryan's been looking at has been the potential for anything that is non-raindrop or precipitation related that can certainly form out of these systems. The radar is able to detect that to help us get an idea. If it had touched the ground briefly at some point, it would start to show signs of that. And we can do that by looking, we call the debris signature. It's a certain sensitivity that the radar has. And I've seen some low values in that area, but I don't know yet if it's quite to that point of being something significant on it, but it's definitely not precipitation that is there. So it could be something as small as maybe a few shingles or something like that. It's being picked up, but it is moving to the east. And Ryan, we can see the lightning is kind of lagging a bit there, but I do think this thing's still got quite the core of lightning with it.
Yeah, I think so too. The kind of the gate to gate shear, or just the speed of the rotation, just in layman's speak here, it has gone down a little bit here. That's some good news. So this may have been kind of a quick deal, but nonetheless, we have to treat this thing as it's still on the ground. We've had at least one report of a tornado on the ground from emergency management in Jefferson County, Indiana. We've had now a report of hail off of US 421 in Madison. So we are getting those hail reports. It's just they're coming in a little bit later here. So you folks in Madison, tornado safe place right now. And if you're just east of Madison, there right along the Ohio River in Jefferson County, Indiana, this is the time to make sure that your friends and family, call them up, make sure they know they need to be in their tornado safe place right this second.
Thanks, Ryan. If you can pull up, Brian, the floor plan while I look at another couple radar views, and we'll show you guys in just a second where to go. If you're unfamiliar with that, hopefully you have a plan in place. That's why we've had these statewide tornado drills. Indiana just had theirs this week, in fact, that we're talking about. The circulation is doing what I was fearing here. It's right over Madison, but it's trying to cross over into parts of northern Kentucky at the moment. So let me zoom in a little closer to that. Again, right over. I mean, it's right there on downtown Madison, Indiana. So we know that you guys are in the danger zone. So is Milton, Kentucky, to be frank as well. Greenwald, you're likely into more of the hail core that is showing up. As we look a little more downstream to the east of where the strong rotation is and this tornado on the ground, that's the area we need to watch. So looking downstream here, Manville into Indiana and to Brooksburg in Kentucky along 36, right there on the Ohio River. If you're anywhere in these spots, you have to act now. Again, this is a confirmed tornado on the ground. At least the report we got confirmed tornado at that time. Doesn't mean it always stays on the ground. Sometimes they touch down and go back up. You know, those are details we can't worry about right now. We have to make sure that you guys know that potential has already happened at least, and it can happen again. So make sure to get into your safe spot. Where is that safe spot? Ryan Hoke's got that answer.
Yeah, that's going to be in the basement or storm shelter. If you've got it here, you'll see the graphic behind me here. This is where you need to be if at all possible. I know not all homes have basements and storm shelters, so try to get to the geometric center of your house, away from doors and windows, literally just the middle, like a bathroom, a hallway. Just put as many walls between you and the outside as you can. If you've got helmets for the kids, put them on. You only have seconds in some cases here, so please get to that safe place as soon as you can. Make sure you're wearing a sturdy pair of shoes in case you would happen to encounter debris here. And Brian, I did want to note that the Carrollton area is now under a tornado warning. They just issued that from the office in Wilmington, Ohio.
That's until 2:30 as well, it looks like, for that one. I'll show you that. Let me zoom in a little closer, at least pan over a little closer to where that particular cell is. And again, we're looking at the one right over Madison, a little bit of hail coming back into play there. And by the way, into Jefferson County, Indiana. So as we head off to the east, so Bricksburg, there's Lamb. There's Craig into Indiana. There's Long Run in Indiana. All you guys are basically into the tornado warning zone. I'll widen out the view so you can see the entirety of the cell. And notice, again, they included a little more of a southern jog, which does tend to happen when you have, again, these cells in the long line of cells. The very last one being a tail end Charlie, they do tend to turn more right and become more horizontal, if not track to the southeast at the very last stages of their lifespan, if you will. So that's going to put a little more of Kentucky into the danger zone than Indiana will be. So this will likely keep drifting to the south and east and turning, which makes it a challenge when you have a turning small supercell like this, because you're thinking it's moving one way and then suddenly it's in your backyard. So here it is again, a little bit of hail showing up, but there's that wraparound that we're still watching across areas right over Madison. Overall, the western side of downtown Madison is already out of that particular cell. Downtown and east still in it. Carrollton, you guys will likely stay just south. Let me put a clock on this, or a loop on it so I can get a better handle. You will likely stay just on the southern edge right there into Carrollton. We'll see how much of a turn it'll take, but it likely will cross over toward I-75. Eventually, I-75 is going to be in the pathway as it holds together here. Of course, that's another key, is will it hold together long enough or will it dissipate altogether? That's something we can't answer yet. But right now, what we do know, emergency manager did say there was a tornado confirmed on the ground into Madison. We've been tracking the rotation since back into Scott County, Indiana. And again, now it's moving right over on the eastern side, and that hail core continues to show up as well. It's really one cell causing a lot of different warnings. Ryan's got the list. It's currently in effect.
Yeah, we got the big board up here, Brian. So 4 separate warnings within the counties that we serve right now. You'll see 2 tornado warnings here. One, that's the latest one for Carroll County, Kentucky, Jefferson County, Indiana, and the northern tip of Trimble County, Kentucky here for another 21 minutes. You're under a tornado warning. And then 2 severe thunderstorm warnings that kind of envelop areas outside of those 2 tornado warnings. There about 6 minutes left on that Jefferson Scott Trimble severe thunderstorm warning here. So it's not necessarily important to know the exactness of where there's a severe thunderstorm warning versus a tornado warning. The most important part to know, Brian, is who is in the path of this possible tornado and the damaging hail from this. And if you're in that warning, that means you need to be tuned into Wave News here on our live streams and, of course, on television.
Yeah, thanks, Ryan. Appreciate that. You're exactly right. Now, Scott County, I know it's still listed there, but again, that'll be cleared out because it's out of the storm cell. But there's the actual wrapped up supercell. Again, last report we got was confirmed on the ground, and that's been a good 8 minutes now. So we're still waiting official reports on that. The problem is we're starting to get reports of some damage now. Our own Ward Jollis is standing by right now, not too far away from me. Ward, what do you got as far as what's coming in? I know it's still early in the game here.
Yeah, well, Brian, we are calling different emergency management departments in different areas right now. We've gotten a few reports back. Our first report that we officially got back of damage reports comes from a home near Madison, Indiana, near Highway 421. A viewer reported that there was heavy hail at her home and some damage. We've also called around to a couple different places as well, including Scott County. They say they do not have any reports of damage yet, but they're watching this situation very closely. And also Jefferson County, they also report that they are good at this moment, so some good news there. But of course, we'll keep checking in with these emergency management departments as we get more reports over the next few minutes, and we have a couple crews headed that way very soon that should have some more information for us pretty soon. But I'll send it back to you guys.
All right, Ward, thank you. Appreciate that. I know it's still early in the game. A lot of folks are still just trying to figure out what happened, right? If you're enjoying a warm day outside and then suddenly everything just gets to be a mess. You get into just a very quick change in environment. You go from partly sunny skies quickly into a tornado that's on the ground into the areas there into Jefferson County, Indiana. And again, we're still waiting for more confirmation reports that we're getting, but so far everything's been relatively stable on that side, which is good. This is the main circulation again. We bring up the velocity, show you guys where we're tracking what still has that strong signature to it. In fact, it still looks very strong, almost like it's almost got a double feature here. Ryan, I don't know if you can see that on your end, almost like 2 circulations being wrapped into it there.
Yeah, so the question is,
My mic on here. So the question is there a new circulation trying to take over on that north side as the southern one tries to occlude? But at this point, I mean, that looks extremely strong on the south side of this. I mean, we were still pulling at least 100-mile-per-hour rotational speeds on this. I mean, 125 miles per hour right now. This is probably the strongest it's been on radar as a radar presentation here in northwest Carroll County. Carrollton, I know we haven't talked about you a whole lot since you're, just kind of freshly into this tornado warning, but you need to be in your safe place right now, because if this thing continues on any sort of southeasterly trek, you would be next for this, Brian.
All right, if you guys are just now turned on your TV, you're hearing the sirens go off or the radios. It's 2:13 this afternoon. We're watching Wave TV here in Louisville, Kentucky. We have a confirmed tornado on the ground that took place into Madison, Indiana, Jefferson County, Indiana. We are still tracking the circulation and maybe more than one circulation along that supercell that is now out of Madison. So Madison, you're out of the supercell, but it is now moving in northwest Carroll County. It's basically right along the Ohio River and tracking right to the point of getting close to Carrollton. VV, Indiana will be likely next to experience some of that intense wind. And the hail core is likely going to be on the northern side of that to be found there across portions of Jefferson County, Indiana, moving out of there very, very soon, kind of bring that up. And again, that's where you're going to run into any potential of large hail that could get up to about golf ball size, which is what the warning has been listed as its potential. That will be found. Let me kind of bring it over here. It's very much close to the northern side of that circulation is where we could have some of those larger hailstones that could develop in that particular zone. Let me get you back to the warnings here, actually the radar itself, and show you the track on this. I mean, it seems a classic hook scenario. We always talk about that little appendage that cycles around. We were seeing two different circulations, or I got a feeling it was cycling into a new one that is likely taking over now. And that is the danger in the scenario, because each time that happens, there is a shift that the supercell will have when it's cycling. So that causes a wobbling type of effect. And that's the reason why we have to watch northern Kentucky just as much as we do far southern areas of Indiana as that circulation tracks there off to the east. Do we have an updated speed yet, guys, on forward motion on it?
Working on that now. Let's see. The warning now says that it is a 45-mile-per-hour eastbound velocity on this.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Appreciate that. Looking at the recent.
Brian, let me just mention, I mean, if you're in the Brooksburg area, this dude is just so tightly wound up over top of that. Moving to the east, as Ryan just mentioned, 38 knots, just over 40 miles an hour. This has real potential. I mean, we've already had the tornado reported for Jefferson County EM. We're trying to reach out to them, but we understand how busy they are. So consequently, once they reported that the tornado was on the ground, we've had no further communication with them. So they're just in the process of getting information out and possibly getting help to people that need it. So as far as getting ground truth, we're still in that on and off phase of knowing if it's still on the ground or if it's just one of these dudes that's going up and down. So.
Yeah, good point. And that's something that just takes a bit of time there. And I know it's kind of tough for those who want to know some answers on it, but don't go venture out, try to look at the stain, or even try to go into Madison and see what happened. Emergency crews need all the space they can get to all these communities. And more than likely, based on the velocity, we were starting to run into problems with this west of Madison. So much of Jefferson County, Indiana, travel, I think I would just hold off on it for a while and let the emergency crews have the roads free. There's a lot of two-lane roads around here. They need those roads free to get to the spots they need to as those calls come in. And let's hope everyone's okay. That's the important thing. Hope everyone's safe. We also have got to keep doing our job, which is still keep alerting everyone that is in the path, that is still next in line here. And so it's about to cross very much into Carrollton, right along the Ohio River. I know it's a very hilly spot there as you travel along the Ohio River looking from the Kentucky side. And then we get into Carroll County, and eventually you're going to be heading on out all the way out into portions there of the Gallatin County, heading into the Cincinnati region. But at the moment, that circulation, I will say this, that circulation isn't a spot. The population density, I think, is quite low through this particular area. It's such a very wooded spot. So we may have a bit of time here before we get some of these reports. But this system is very well defined. Moving off to the east, we're roughly, about 10,000 people we have in the path right now that we have.
Yeah, the latest tornado warning has about 7,500 people in it right now, and that includes downtown Carrollton and all of Carroll County at this time.
Okay, and there's the circulation again. They're trimming away, so it looks like now they got some of it out. Let me kind of pan over here. Some of it out into Madison. So Madison, you are now in the clear from this. So Madison, you are in the clear as far as any threatening weather happening at the moment. It's eastern Jefferson County moving out at the moment. Now it's moving into the Carrollton community. So again, the Ohio River is very much a splitting, dividing line here where we're seeing some of the worst of the cell. And the hail core is coming back into play once again. It's starting to show up, sign of maybe some more strengthening as it gets more organized. We think we saw that cycling that was happening, taking place between the two cells. Now we're seeing it restructure itself right over Kentucky, more so than we are seeing there into Indiana. And the way that topography is here with the river going back and curving back to the north, much of that cell is going to be right on the northern side here of Carroll County as it moves on through the area. The hail itself is going to be in a spot where you're likely going to have it on the northern fringes of this. I'm kind of zoom in on where that circulation is, though. I want you guys to be aware of exactly the communities right now that we are really focused on. Hail is damaging, don't get me wrong, it's golf ball size. Here's Lamb, there's Craig, there's Brooksburg. Kevin was talking about Brooksburg earlier, and that's some of the spot we're looking at. It's right in through here. If we are getting anything that's still on the ground, and you can tell by the topography on the map, it's a very wooded area we're talking about, not as much of a population center as you have back in Madison. That means it's going to be a little tougher for us to get reports on this. We have to go strictly on radar for a while. But here's Carrollton, right here on the bottom of your screen. Here's Carrollton itself. There's the Ohio River. There's the Butler State Park located. More than likely, it's staring it down across the river itself as it heads off there to the east. Let me get back to our home view. I kind of want to show you guys again that this is the only cell. If you're just now tuning in, want to know if we have tornadoes coming to Louisville or anywhere, there's only one supercell we're tracking. It's the far northeast section here of wave country that we're talking about. It's out of Madison now, but we did have a confirmed tornado in Madison by the emergency manager. That was at 2 minutes after 2 this afternoon. They confirmed that. We've had some reports of damage. Word Joss was letting us know from the alert desk, but we don't know the extent really of all that damage yet. We do have crews on the way. Emergency personnel are out and about trying to figure out exactly who needs help and get that help to them. At the same time, we still have to make sure we're warning everybody that's still in the path of this as it moves into the Carroll County area and just about on the edges of wave country altogether. It's moving at 45 miles per hour, so it won't take too long for it to be completely out of that zone. But it's still very well-defined supercell in that area. Ryan, are you still seeing that signature at all from anything on the debris side of things?
Yeah, let's take a look at that. Why don't we here? We're going to zoom into the thunderstorm here, and what we're going to do is the ability for us to see debris in this storm is kind of a technology that's developed over the past 10, 15 years or so. And as we put the debris scope on, it is very tough because this is kind of on the edge of the radar range, if you will, on this. So we were able to see it pretty well when it was going through Madison, where that debris possibly could be. It was still kind of a muddy signature, but I can circle it right here. This is from about 2 o'clock this afternoon. That was co-located with the velocity there, showing us where there could have been some debris. And as you follow it toward Brooksburg, it gets a lot more muddy. It is very difficult to tell when you are this far away. There could be debris scattered in the clouds, tens of thousands of feet above our heads that is showing up here. That's why this might be blue, but we don't know that yet. There's a lot of interference and a lot of difficulty in detecting debris this far away from the actual radar site here. So we're not able to see it as well when it comes to the debris possibility as it moves through Switzerland County and into the very northern and kind of northeastern part of Carroll County here. But we want to make sure that everybody understands that this is very likely a tornado in progress situation just north of Carrollton. You see that tornado warning's been trimmed back again. Downtown Carrollton still in this at this time, as well as Vevey, Indiana, and Switzerland County. So they've kind of collapsed that box a bit, Brian, to encompass mostly where that tornado threat would be from that hooking you see just north of Carrollton right there.
Yeah, I'm hoping this is the end of its cycling part, and eventually we'll see this collapse because the environment, while it is warmer to the east, the sheared environment is not exactly as prime. So we'll see if that can hold together or not as it moves on through. Ward, you got it? Kevin's on the phone. You got an update, Kevin?
Yeah, let me give you just an update. I just hung up with the Sheriff's Department, the emergency management folks over in parts of Jefferson County, Indiana. This is not a good story to tell. We have houses that have been damaged, at least partially torn by the winds, garages, trees are down, lines are down. KSP is reporting that a trailer has been flipped over and there's a person trapped in that in Milton, Kentucky. So all of this coming from the dispatch centers over in Jefferson County, Indiana. So we know that we now have damage. Emergency managers reported the tornado on the ground. Now we've confirmed the damage. We continue to track this storm as it moves across parts of southern Indiana, northern Kentucky, Brian. So we do have reports that are now really eye-opening in the sense of what this storm, the tail end Charlie, as we call it, has really put down. So not only is it a classic textbook in the way it looks on the radar that you're standing in front of, and point out that hook that most people know right there. Go ahead.
No, I was saying that hook is we've been tracking and moved over into Milton there for a while, but now you're talking about, some significant damage and people right now that need help. And so that's the reason why that it's going to take some time for them to get to their spots. So make sure that you're keeping these roads clear. I mean, it sounds like from what I can tell Kevin Stone when he's talked to emergency managers and sheriff's department, if they sound frantic, then that means they've got a lot on their plate they're dealing with. And this is what they're still facing. I mean, it's right up with the community of Craig. So it's east now of Brooksburg. East of there, you can see how wooded the area was. Back here to the west, let me show you where Milton was, where it was at earlier on. And that, again, there's Madison and there's Milton. That's the two areas that we've had the damage reports have been coming in and report in Milton, Kentucky of someone that is trapped in Milton, Kentucky. So that's the reason why emergency crews are monitoring that setup carefully. So the tornado warning continues. It's still, for all we know, it is still on the ground. All right. We have not had any reports that it's not doing any more damage. We just have to treat it that way. And that's what you always have to do in any kind of tornado warning. Treat it the way that it likely is on the ground and take your safety precautions. Easter Day, VV, heading toward Markland and even Sanders, Warsaw. I know it's right on the edges here of wave country, but still, if you have friends or family there, get in the lowest level of your home, get away from windows, put on some tennis shoes in case you were to have glass that were to shatter, because we've had homes that have been damaged, severely damaged the way it's sounding. And again, even a mobile home that has been turned over to the point where there's someone that needs to be rescued there into Milton, Kentucky. Let me kind of play this out on the velocity. I want to check this again because that's the scam that's really been showing up more and more. It still looks a little more ragged, I would say, compared to earlier. The signal doesn't look to be as strong. I'm hoping this is the beginning of the end of the system. I hope so, but we cannot give an all clear, that's for sure. It's about to cross right over the Ohio River and 42. In fact, there's a new tornado warning that has just been issued for this particular cell. So let me pull that up real quick. This is going to be basically the same one, just a little more to the south and east on its positioning to kind of cover its path as it moves on by. And again, this tornado warning looks like it's going to stay in effect. If it can pop in, there it goes, until 3 o'clock. And this will be for Carroll, Gallatin, Olin, and Switzerland counties. Again, right on the fringes here, wave country. They're listing this still as a radar indicator. They're no longer saying confirmed or observed with this. So they feel a little more confident that right now, but they don't think it's on the ground. But at certainly one point, it likely was. But the hail size has been increased to 2-inch hail size out of this. You're getting into $half now that'll be moving through, and that's going to be on the northern side of this. If anything, that's what you need to watch out for too, is the large hail, which can easily do damage to siding, rips holes in the side of the home. The windows can bust out, the cars can bust out. You don't want to be driving in this mess. It's nasty, guys. It's very dangerous stuff. And you see that circulation right there, moving in with the hail core wrapped around the northern side as it moves off to the east, right across Carroll County into the Gallatin County area, and again, northern areas of Olin as well. Kevin?
All right, we're still on the phone just getting some data coming in from Milton, Kentucky, where we have a house trailer that's been overturned. Someone supposedly stuck in that. So that's one thing we're working. In addition to tracking this storm that Brian's had a handle on since the warning came out this afternoon. So he's leading the weather coverage here. But as we're looking at this, if you're in VV, Indiana, Gent, that's northern parts of Carroll County, this is the zone. So this is right along the Ohio River as you're looking at that storm. You've got to be in your tornado safe place, the lowest level, away from windows. When we check the big board on the warning
warnings that we currently have in place. You can see that tornado warning continues. The newest one just extended for another 34 minutes. That's going to go until 3 o'clock this afternoon for parts of Carroll County. And that is the one that's moving right along the river. We've got another 4 minutes on the Jefferson County, Indiana storm, and that will continue to move off to the south. Back to the radar view, and I can show you that we do have the storm continuing right along the Ohio River, pushing off to the north and east. Winds on this could be in excess of, well, in some cases, far excess of 100 miles an hour. I mean, we've had damage out of this, and that's why we still see in this storm and around it not only the very strong winds, but some impressive hail returns have been coming in on the radar. And you can see that marked by some of these darker purple. Ward Jollis is here. He's standing by with some of the hail that's been coming in out of these storms. Ward?
Yeah, Kevin, these are more reports from Madison, Indiana. So I brought you a couple of these earlier, but now we're getting some photos in of the actual area. So we want to take these as soon as we can. Hail reports near Madison, Indiana. That's also where some of the damage has been coming from. And you can see on your screen now some of those hailstones that have been recorded 1-2 inches. So well over a quarter-sized hail there. But these are just a couple of photos already that we're getting in from the Madison, Indiana area where this supercell just moved through. So we'll keep watching these and hopefully be back with some more photos for you guys pretty soon.
All right, that's enough to do a lot of damage there. We've seen that in parts of Scott County, Jefferson County, Indiana, and now over into northern parts of Kentucky, including Carroll and Trimble counties. Brian, let's jump back to the radar. Give folks another idea of who needs to be in their tornado-safe place.
Yeah, and even some of those hailstones probably melted a bit by the time they were measured, too, so probably a bit larger. So this is the cell that's organized. Now, the hook is still there, no doubt. That is the area we're watching. Right over VV, Indiana, heading right on the Ohio River. Referencing that a lot. You see there's several roads, of course, that line up along the river. But US 42 there, as you got all into Warsaw, that is the place you don't want to be. Even I-71, if you have friends or family trying to travel from Cincinnati to Louisville, got to feel in the traffic is either really, really slow or probably just stops because everyone may be seeing the threatening clouds there into the distance. Now we got another. There's checking on another report of possible rotation from that tornado in Trimble County, which we've been watching that in Trimble County there for a while that took place. All right, let me get you over a little further to the east and get you right into the core of where right now it looks like that circulation still is as far as any damage that can be still placed with the system, the cell, the supercell that is moving on by. All right, here's 56, Indiana 56. It's right over Lone Run as far as the hail core, just passed over Lone Run. Here's Vivi, Indiana, now crossing there. There's the Ohio River. That blue line is the Ohio River we're talking about that is moving on by. Looks like Kentucky Mesonet, by the way, in Carrollton just came in at 68 miles per hour in Carrollton. So that's a measured wind gust of 68 miles per hour just came in from Kentucky Mesonet. Again, this is heading off to the east and about to cross over to Gallatin County here very, very soon where they're keeping that tornado warning. But right where you see that notch going in, that is where you're getting your rotation taking place right there on 42 and 47 as well.
And notice the severe thunderstorm warning on that as well. So they've just continued that. And that includes some areas outside of that actual tornado warning, just barely. But again, we still see that classic hook on the echo coming right out of the VV, Markland, right at the border as you cross out of Carroll County. So this will take you over into Gallatin. Just south of there is Owen. And then, of course, Switzerland County of Indiana. So those are the areas most concerned. The one that has our greatest concern right now would be Carroll County. That's where we have the tornado that is on the ground. We've had reports of that. We've seen video of what appears to be the tornado moving off to the east, and we have had damage. We've been in touch with a number of emergency managers, some of the officials who are actually looking at that damage, including the Kentucky State Police. They also have said, yes, there is damage in Milton, Kentucky. That damage coming in with some injuries, so we know that. We also have heard from some of the folks out of Indiana saying that we've had injuries being reported. Barns, trees, houses, garage, power lines, all taken down by this tornado that was on the ground, first reported by the emergency manager coming out of Madison, and that's up in Jefferson County, Indiana. Brian?
Yeah, it's something that I've noticed too, Kevin, now that this is in the tail end of a line of cells in Ohio. with it being on the tail end, becoming horizontal, it looks like its forward motion here is slowing down. So it's trying to linger a bit. That's not good. This is likely going to keep at least the severe potential a bit longer into parts there of eastern Carroll into Gallatin County. It may have a lingering effect there. That's why you're not seeing the warnings. The polygons are drawing for them. They're not going very far to the east any longer. They're basically hovering around where the storm is because it likely is going to run into a situation where it can't go in a forward motion any longer. So that's at least good news. But the problem is now we have to just wait for it to run out of gas, basically. So until that happens, you got to be in your safe spot. We've talked about this several times. It's worth repeating when your life is in danger, guys. Make sure to get in the lowest level of your home, away from windows, put the tennis shoes on. You've got a helmet for the kids. It's great. Get into a bathtub. It's always great. Get the family pet. Get everything in order and just turn the TV up, roll out. We're going to stay on to get through this. And hopefully we'll get past this as it moves on by. Now, we did have some reports of the video that came through. Now, Ward, Johnson standing by with a newsletter on this. Now, what is this video of, hail or tornado?
So the viewer who sent this in says it appears that this is the storm itself, whether that be the tornado or not, we're not sure at this point, but it is from Madison, Indiana on Damari Drive. That is actually very close to downtown Madison, Indiana. You're seeing this video on your screen right now of what kind of looks like a funnel cloud right there in the center of your screen. We did have confirmed reports that a tornado was on the ground near this area, although exactly what this video that you just saw on your screen depicts, we'll have to wait on confirmed reports and whatnot in that area. But again, that was Damari Drive near Madison, Indiana, just within the last hour that we received that video from a viewer.
All right,
well, Kevin, it looked like to me that it's just probably at least the funnel, because we can't tell by looking at the video entirely with the whole rotation, but it does match up where that circulation was really maxed out there earlier.
Well, one thing we do know is we did see the base of the clouds rotating, and we've seen that a number of times in the cameras that we have across the area. So we know we're dealing with a rotating storm. That's the first stage of having to have a tornado. So whether that was the actual one or not doesn't matter, because the bottom line is we know the results. We've had a tornado, we have damage, and we have injuries all coming out of Jefferson County and now even parts of Carroll County, possibly Trimble County of Kentucky. So this storm continues to track just outside of our viewing area. When we look at the radar view, still quite a hail core moving over into parts of Gallatin County. That's going to approach the
looks like they moved the hail size up to 2.5 now for that.
I'm watching that, and let me show you what that looks like if we look inside that storm. There's the hail size. You start talking about that darker red. That's up to baseball size hail. Now, that does not account for some of the melting that would take place, but nonetheless, even if you melted a significant amount, you're still dealing with tennis ball size hail falling out of the core of that storm in far northeastern parts of Carroll County. That one will continue to move over into and right along the river into Gallatin County. So that's the hail. The velocity gives us an idea of where we have the wind shear and the rotation, and you can see that that shows up as well. We'll look at the storm relative velocity. That is right within that tornado warning, just north of I-71, moving off and just about to cross out of Carroll County.
Okay, and while I'm looking at this, I don't know if we're able to pull up even a traffic map here soon, too, because I got a feeling there's going to be a lot of people on 71 right there. They're going to be really backing up. Make sure to get out of that way. If you have friends or family, again, they're traveling in that stretch, not far from Sparta, Kentucky, down through the Carrollton area. Just make sure to stay away from 71. This is going to slow down and is going to just drift over 71 over the next hour. It's going to be a little slower than what it was originally, and this may become more of an issue on hail. In fact, you get a hailstone that is 2.5 inches. As Kevin mentioned, likely did melt somewhat. That can cause you more damage and hurt certainly a lot more than even a brief, weak tornado can do in these cases if it's widespread hail like that. So we really got to watch the hail core as it moves. Typically, you got your hail core on the north side, and your tornado, if it's still on the ground, is going to be separated basically just to the south, right over Carson, is that little point that we're watching as it drifts right over Carson, heading right on the edge of Carroll and Gallatin County. So it's right on the edge here of wave country in general. I will say this, Carrollton, you're out of the storm danger for this round. You're out of storm danger there. We mentioned that for Brooksburg and Madison. You're fine there. Easter Day is basically out of it now. VV is pretty much out. You may have a little bit of lightning to the east, so just hold on a little bit longer to get that lightning east of you. But if you're on the far eastern side of Carrollton County, Gallatin County, and southern part there of Switzerland County, all three of these counties have had large hail reports confirmed out of them as they've been moving by the area. And that is concerning when you get hailstones can get really up there, over 2 inches in diameter. As we look, oh, by the way, I should mention, if you live in advance of this, get the car in the garage. Get it in there, all right? You don't leave it parked outside with those type of hailstones moving through. The circulation's still there. Hard to be a little more defined. Let me see if I can get a loop on this, and we'll kind of loop it around as it moves on by. But again, that is drifting right across the Ohio River, and it crossed out of Indiana. So the core, you can tell, is basically a Kentucky storm now, as mainly because of the topography and how the river in northern Kentucky juts up to the north there. That's the reason why it's mainly out of Indiana now. So it's mainly a Kentucky storm, but still some large hail will hover right there on the Ohio River into Indiana as it moves on by. But I-71 is going to be a mess. This is going to cross over. It already is now. It's going to really have a big impact on traffic on the other side of Carrollton there, Kevin.
All right. No huge updates here. We've been reaching out to some of the law enforcement agencies. Obviously, they're very busy with what's happening. We have the same reports that we've been giving you for the last 20 minutes or so, and that is we do have damage across parts of Jefferson County, Indiana, Madison in particular. We also have Trimble County, Milton, some areas over into parts of Carroll County that have had some damage out of this storm. There's been a tornado that has touched down. We've had it confirmed and reported by emergency management there, and we have crews on the way. Our storm tracker was deployed this afternoon and is on its way to Madison, and then we'll go forward from there. The storm continues, and while that tornado warning still technically has another 22 minutes left on it, the part for our viewing area in Carroll County will be allowed to expire shortly. As you can see, that storm is about to move out of the Carroll County area. Nonetheless, the core of this storm is now in Gallatin County. As Brian has mentioned, that is over Interstate 71. That is going to cause some problems, not only with the wind and the rain, but that very large hail, especially as it eventually moves over between, say, Carrollton and Cincinnati. So that will be a zone where if you have travel plans, you might let this storm pass. It should happen within the next, I'd say, 10 to 20 minutes.
All right, thanks, Kevin. Appreciate it. Let me show you the view again back at home to kind of give you your bearings of how small in scale this is compared to other areas of wave country right now when it comes to the active radar scenario. It's just one supercell that was in the bottom of several that moved in. That's where we got that tornado, possibly still on the ground. That area, you got to treat it that way anyway. Very large hail moving along 71. Likely we have between 71 and 75 if it holds together. So travel in this section of Kentucky is going to be a mess. The rest of wave country is quiet. Are we done with this? Unfortunately, no. That we will likely get more severe weather breaking out into Illinois and Missouri this afternoon. In fact, it may be ongoing now, and that will drift over us. It'll take until midnight or after, though, to get the leftovers of that effect into wave country again. We don't know the severity of it yet. Usually that timing bodes well for us as far as intensity, but it's bad for us in the sense everyone's asleep. So awareness goes a little higher in that kind of a scenario. But we'll worry about that as the evening wears on. Main focal point is going to remain with that tornado warning, which it's set to expire coming up in about a small slither of it in 6 minutes for the severe thunderstorm portion of that. And the tornado warning, I believe, is 21 minutes. I think I have that right.
That's correct.
For it to expire there into Carroll County. They did cover back a bit more to indicate a little more on the hail side of things. Let me show you again where that cell is, moving there across eastern side there of Carroll County. That hail core is so very well defined right now. And you see that wiggle. That's where you got your rotation that's happening. And actually, it looks like it's trying to cycle again. So we may end up with a circulation that disrupts, a new one develops, and we may see that take place a few more times where it has a chance to fully weaken altogether. Painting back to the west, again, this is the area that we were watching earlier that we have our crews heading to, right into Madison. It looked like it was passing anywhere around Wakefield. In fact, the first rotation we saw was actually near Austin, Indiana, passed near Wakefield around midway into Jefferson County, Indiana. Downtown Madison was the first confirmation we got of a touchdown. We head into Milton, Kentucky, right across from Madison. Got the report of a person that was apparently trapped in a mobile home that flipped over. And then into Brooksburg, Craig, Carrollton, VV, Indiana, and now it's moving into Gallatin County around Warsaw for the hail part and heading down to Sanders where we still got that tornado signature that is showing up. So this has got a damaged path to it that started along I-65 into Scott County, it looked like, with some very large hail reports. Ryan, you've been on the phone a lot here, so
made probably 20 phone calls in the last 5 minutes here. Switzerland County Dispatch reports they have several structures down right now. This is just outside our viewing area, but adjacent to Jefferson County and Carroll County here. This is going to be Patton Hollow at State Road 56. These structures are down. She had no other information, but that's right on that southern tip, right on that path there of that supercell. So that lines up. And of course, we're going to have more on that damage here as we go throughout the afternoon and as as folks are kind of able to regroup and figure out what has happened with this tornado, the touchdown.
Yeah, for folks that were watching this afternoon, first on the air, Brian and Ryan jumped on just before 2 o'clock. We've been able to walk you through this. It's now moving out of our viewing area. We're handing coverage over to our Cincinnati partners and Lexington partners as the storm approaches their area. It's squarely in Gallatin County. Carroll County, you are now in the clear. That warning will be let go for you momentarily. But that storm still shows the rotation, clear shows of the inflow moving in. We still have large hail falling with that storm. We're going to start to wind down our coverage as we launch into the 3 o'clock news here. We will have complete and continuing coverage because, Brian, I think it's important for folks to know this is round 1 of 2. And if people were watching yesterday, we kept stressing there were 2 opportunities to see severe weather. One would be in the afternoon between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. That's where we are now. And the other would be later tonight between 9 and about 4 a.m. So it's important to note that the second round is yet to come tonight, and it could also contain a punch with some strong winds and the possibility of severe weather.
You're exactly right. And coming in a much more dangerous time. I know it's there's no good time for a tornado, right? But it's certainly overnights are certainly more risky for us to be tracking them because we're trying to get the awareness out. So this is the last of the daytime round that we're looking at. Looks like a new tornado warning has just basically been drawn up to cover this entire supercell, which will go for the rest of north central areas of Kentucky, northern Kentucky, especially as they continue to track it through there. Ward Jaws is standing by. I understand, Ward, you got some new video that you just got into the newsroom.
Yes, so this video also comes from just outside of Madison, Indiana, and it shows what appears to be some rotation as well as heavy rainfall. I'm hoping we can take this video for you guys pretty soon. This is what it is. You can also, if you listen closely, hear some of those tornado sirens going off in the background of this. We're told this is just outside of Madison, Indiana. It was taken within the last hour, and you can kind of see just to the left of that house where some of the heavy rain in that rotation is located. So a lot of the same kind of stuff we're seeing from the Madison area. There's obviously a good number of people who live in that area. It has since moved on from here, but these are just some of the videos and images we're getting from that area that we know was just impacted by this storm not long ago. I'll send it back to you guys.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that, Ward. Yeah, scary sounds anytime we hear the air raid sirens, right, go off. Saw the other hail reports coming in. This is, I believe, out of Jefferson County, Indiana as well. 2-inch size hail. We saw some of that. They came through 1.5. Fairly common with that as well as it moves on by. I know the tornado warning is still covering their parts of Carroll County, but the storm cell itself is into the Gallatin County area, moving out and moving toward the I-75 corridor. All right, we're going to go ahead and get ready for the 3 o'clock show, which is just minutes away. We've got a lot of reports we're going to go over. We got our crews that are standing by. We're going to communicate with them. Once we do, we'll have a chance to get everything listed for you guys and hopefully get some more information about what has happened, especially to Madison, Indiana as well. So, Kevin Harned, I'll let you sign off here as we get ready for the 3 o'clock show.
Yeah, we'll be here. You just see on the maps behind us, Carroll County has just been lifted out of that warning. So the tornado warnings have expired for our viewing area. We've got a lot of work to do in 2 realms. One, to see the scope of the damage that has happened. News crews have been dispatched there. The storm tracker is on its way up there. We also have for us to look at tonight and see what that looks like in terms of severe weather, mainly after midnight. So tune in 3, 4, 5, 6. We're back on at 7 and 11. We'll have complete alert day coverage letting you know what's going to happen with these storms. So for Brian, Ward, Ryan, and myself, we'll see you coming up in just a few minutes. Thanks for watching.